let's talk about creating space. Now, I'm not talking about a particular situation or scenario right now. Now, what does distance give us? It gives us time and the ability to process information and then take some type of action to hopefully yield a successful outcome. Now, you might be given distance and space at the beginning of your scenario or situation, or you may have to create that, and that's what we're going to talk about, creating space. Now, it all starts with your level of physical ability. Let's talk about Anatomy 101 and simple biomechanics here. Hips and big toes, whatever direction those two things are pointed in, is going to be the best way for us to move forward, whether we are walking or we are sprinting. If the goal is force and power generation, these two things have to be in line. Now, if I were to take my big toes and turn them to the left and then orient my hips towards the camera and run as fast as I can towards the camera, yes, I can still create space, but if the goal is maximum force and power, it's just not going to work. My hips and big toes have to be in line if that's the direction that I'm driving in. So knowing that, we're going to play a friendly game of tag with Mr. No Shoot here. Now, Mr. No Shoot has 100% intention on trying to tag me, and he does not get tired. So there are a few ways that I can maintain or create that space. One is we can run at the same speed, given there is distance already between us. Two, I can run faster. Three, I can change direction. I might can run a little bit slower as he has to now be reactive to my movement. Or four, I can put a mass or barrier between myself and Mr. No Shoot. Now, having that information, let's turn this into somewhat of a scenario. Let's say Mr. No Shoot now has a knife and he exits a vehicle or a residence, and I'm a police officer. So I might be facing the threat at the time. I see the knife, I call it out, and I'm going to address deadly force with deadly force. Now, unfortunately, my bullets aren't magic, meaning I might be engaging from this position, but I may not achieve my desired behavior change. So knowing that he is going to approach me with a knife as fast as he possibly can, I need to turn my hips and big toes in the best direction possible given my environment and drive into that direction, all while trying to maintain threat focus. Okay, now I might be in an environment where I have no space, and there are ways to mitigate that. Granted, super risky because it sucks being in a confined space with someone with a knife. That's just the reality of it. But for this situation, I have to turn my hips and drive. Now, what does that do to my shooting platform? Doesn't really give me a good one. I'm not going to be here at in-service, right, at the 7-yard line. The instructor gives me some type of stimulus. I draw, I fire my rounds, and I go back to the holster and move my ass back to the 12. Right? That's not how it's going to work here. You may be in a non-optimal shooting platform, but you still have to engage the threat because that person doesn't get tired and they want to cause harm on you. So, what does that mean? That means that our physical ability, our ability to process information, having sound tactics and principles and concepts, right, that we know that work or have a high percentage of working, and then our ability to have good firearm manipulation, good firearm fundamentals. All of those things come into play in just this one given scenario. So what does that mean? It means you should be training your fitness, your tactics, your concepts and principles of what's good and what's not, or what's optimal and what's not, and then sound firearm fundamentals. So, go train.